So, when you think about retirement assets, what comes to mind? Probably stocks, right? Bonds? Well, today we're going to look at something totally different. 6 structural assets that financial advisor Benjamin Brandt says are absolutely essential for a durable retirement. And get this, these aren't market investments. They're the very foundation that builds stability and control into your long-term plan.
And this quote right here, it really sets the stage for everything we're about to talk about. The whole focus shifts from chasing the highest possible returns to instead building a plan that can actually withstand life's curveballs. It's all about creating a structure that gives you stability, durability, and maybe most important of all, peace of mind.
So, this is really the core question, isn't it? How do you build a retirement that feels secure, that feels intentional, and not one where you're constantly just reacting to every market swing or unexpected event? Well, the answer, according to our source, lies in these 6 specific and, sometimes overlooked assets.
Okay, first up is what we can call the financial shield. This is all about protecting everything you've spent decades building from a threat that is completely unpredictable. Let's see what it is.
It's a personal liability umbrella policy, or a PLUP, and you should think of it exactly like an umbrella. It sits right on top of your existing home and auto insurance, giving you an extra $1 million, maybe $2 million of coverage. What's really wild is just how much protection you get for a pretty small annual premium. So here's the game changer. A PLUP takes a potentially catastrophic legal risk. Something that could literally wipe out your entire life savings, and it turns it into a simple, predictable line item in your budget. It protects your home, your investments, and, I love this part, it also protects your future plans, like maybe using your home's equity down the road. It's just a simple, powerful defensive move. All right, let's move on to asset number 2, and you'll see how this builds on that foundation of security. This one is all about creating financial flexibility for those big, non-monthly expenses that, let's be honest, always pop up in retirement.
Most retirees think about their money in 2 main buckets. You've got your traditional IRA for your regular income and your Roth IRA for long-term tax-free growth. But Brandt calls the taxable brokerage account the missing middle. See, your traditional IRA is your income engine, but every single dollar that comes out is taxed. Your Roth is your growth engine way down the line. That brokerage account, it fills that crucial gap right in between. And this is where that amazing flexibility comes from. When you need a chunk of cash for a new car, a home renovation, or that big trip you've been dreaming about, pulling it from a brokerage account is just incredibly tax efficient. You're only taxed on the gains, not the whole amount, and usually at a lower capital gains rate. It gives you options without blowing up your main income stream or messing with your long-term growth plan. Now, for an asset that you already own, but you might not be thinking about in quite the right way, this isn't about getting income for next year. It's about guaranteeing your income for a very, very long life. We're talking about deferred Social Security. The strategy is pretty simple. By waiting to claim your benefits until you turn 70, you lock in the highest possible monthly payment. And that payment is adjusted for inflation, and for married couples, it becomes the higher survivor benefit for whichever spouse lives longer. You're basically buying longevity insurance from a system you've paid into your whole career.
And this quote just perfectly captures that mindset shift. It's not about grabbing the money as soon as you possibly can. It's a strategic move to fortify the later decades of your retirement, protecting you against the very real risk of outliving your other money.
Okay, so we've protected our assets from lawsuits and we've planned for longevity. Now, how do we protect our day-to-day lifestyle from the one thing nobody can control, the stock market? Well, this next asset acts like a defensive moat around your entire portfolio.
It's called the retirement runway. And let's be super clear here, this is not your standard 3 to 6 month emergency fund. This is a much, much bigger buffer. We're talking 2 to 5 years worth of your living expenses held in stable, easy to access stuff like cash and bonds. It's the money you need to live on, totally separate from the market's craziness.
So how does it work? Well, imagine the market takes a nosedive. Instead of having to sell your stocks when they're down just to pay your bills, you just don't. You draw from your runway instead. This slide shows it perfectly. You're literally buying your portfolio time, maybe years to recover, all without affecting your lifestyle one bit.
And that right there is the ultimate benefit. It just removes the need for panicked emotional decisions. Reactivity, as Brandt calls it, is incredibly expensive in retirement. The runway replaces that panic with patience and control because you know your income is secure for the next few years, no matter what the scary headlines say.
Okay, let's shift gears now from purely financial assets to a physical one. This next investment is about buying something that's truly invaluable, more time living independently in your own home.
We're talking about aging-in-place home upgrades. These are smart, often simple modifications that can dramatically extend your ability to live safely and comfortably at home. We're talking about things like curbless showers to prevent falls, lever handles that are way easier to use than knobs, or moving the laundry up to the main floor.
Now, to really get the value here, you have to look at the alternative. The cost of assisted living can easily top $50,000 a year. That is a massive drain on any retirement portfolio.
Now compare that to the cost of doing some proactive upgrades. Let's say you spend, $10,000 on these modifications. If that allows you to stay in your home for just one extra year, the return on that investment is just astronomical. You're not just improving your house, you're buying independence.
And that brings us to our final and maybe most fundamental asset. This is the one that really underpins all the others. Because honestly, without it, none of the financial planning matters quite as much. It's about investing in your own physical durability.
The key risk here has a fancy name, sarcopenia. I know, it sounds like a lovely vacation spot in Italy, but it's actually the natural age-related loss of muscle mass and strength. It happens to literally everyone, and it's one of the single biggest predictors of losing your independence later in life.
But here's the great news. You can actively fight it. And no, this isn't about becoming a bodybuilder. We're talking about simple, functional strength training with things like resistance bands or kettlebells. The goal is just to maintain the muscle you need to live the life you want, to travel, to play with your grandkids, and to live without needing assistance.
And this ties it all together so perfectly. Every dollar and every hour you invest in your health span, that's the years you live in good health, directly extends the life of your financial plan. By staying healthier for longer, your retirement savings can be spent on things you actually enjoy, not just on medical care.
So we'll leave you with this final thought. A plan that's only focused on returns is a plan for a best-case scenario. But a plan built with these 6 structural assets, that's a plan that's fortified, one that's ready for the realities of the market, of liability, and of life itself. So the question is, which kind of plan are you building?